That was Garfield and Oates. Brilliant, brilliant motherfuckers. Um,
Garfunkel and Oates.
did I say Garfield?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a cat. It's Garfunkel and Oates. It's the parody of the 2 Second guys. Um, Hall and Oates and Simon and Garfunkel. If for the young folks out there, they're just going, "What the fuck is he talking about?" Um, so so basically do we still have a caller on the line? Well, if he's put up with all that weight, we should bring him back. How you doing, bro?
Hey, I'm doing all right. There, nobody. Hey, was Ian singing at all in that song during the break?
Was Ian's face in the song?
Was Ian singing at all? Like that guy's voice in the song?
Oh, that might have been me.
Like Ian. Was that you?
It might have been me. I've been known to burst into song from time to time.
Because that guy's voice in the song sounded like Ian, and I was like, I didn't know Ian was a singer, but like,
Ian will karaoke the fuck out of you. Yeah. Come on up when we're doing karaoke sometime soon.
Is Ian there with you?
Ian is here? Ian is here.
Was it him played in the commercial break there or no?
Those were women singing that song, from what I could tell.
They were. I might have intoned some in the background, but yes, they were mostly female, or possibly recently kicked in the nuts. But I'm pretty sure they were female.
Yeah, I don't have anything in particular that I want to say, but if you'll let me, I'll comment on something that you're saying.
Well, I will let you, because, I'm not Facebook. We lost him. I finally did it. He laughed himself to death.
He's still there. I don't think you really knew what to say.
Okay. Okay. I thought you were mid saying something. Okay. Now, I'm a little bit stoned because I took the opportunity of being off the air to do some drugs.
Hey,
but
do you mind? I'm sorry to interrupt you, nobody.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I call back? Do you mind if I call back in, though? Because I'm getting this weird echo.
Weird echo?
Yeah, do you mind if I call back in?
Yeah, you mind if I call back in? Echo.
He just dropped off the line.
Okay. Well, I had a feeling he was going to do that because he was hearing a weird echo. Which, that'll happen sometimes. So, okay. Where was I at the master plan, my vision? So basically, you've got a place that is providing a permanent place to live for some people who are aligned with us and serious about it and want to be part of the fight. Part of the place is basically helping people get over personal problems with the aid of people who have experienced personal problems and found some solutions, and a spiritual retreat for the faithful if you want to drop some acid or whatever. It's nice to do it in a safe place where you're going to be surrounded by people who will understand what you're doing and know enough to protect you from the police and what have you. And that is, it's only a matter of time before the first religious liberty case really comes along and legalizes all of the psychedelic drugs. And that's an area where, the church would definitely go there if, if one of our people gets busted for drugs. As I've mentioned before, at least 25% of the revenue of the church will be going directly into keeping a very good lawyer on a massive retainer. And so if and when one of our members gets busted for drugs, one of the reasons that you tithe is we will help you to the best of our ability. We will help you fight. And because there's only two sins in the Church of the Invisible Hand. One, in the philosophy of it, I should say. One is to violate the rights of another. The other is to violate your own conscience. Okay? Because that is the violence you do to you. That's why I won't wear a mask, because to me, it is a lie. It is pretending that I believe that this is a massive problem that has not had an insane overreaction. And I don't believe that, I think they're lying. I think they've been lying from the start. I think that they had every intention of lying. And I think they did it for political gain. And I'm just horrified that they have so much gotten away with it. It's sad. But anyway, the rest of the story of this kind of strange monastery brothel. That was used to be slang for a whorehouse back in the day, was nunnery. When Hamlet tells Ophelia, "Get thee to a nunnery, go," he's telling her to go to a whorehouse. And basically, he's misdirecting his fear that his mother was complicit in his father's death. And he's taking a lot of it out on Ophelia because she just happens to be the same gender. You can't have a tragedy without a tragic flaw. But anyway, the rest of the story is eventually to have people who are engaged in sex work, who are doing it in order to heal. Because some people, I am told, feel calling to do that as a form of healing relief. And I can tell you, having been in a position where my wife died of cancer, and it was a 1.5 year ordeal that had happened, and I was deeply traumatized. And the thing is, nobody tells the truth. And so if I could not, being who I am, I could not date. It was not doable, because the thing is, in order to date, I would have to lie, and nobody tells the truth. So basically, I took advantage for a while of the services of prostitutes. And it, in some cases, it was extremely cathartic, just to have contact with a human again, just to physically be touched. Because the thing about being a man in our society is, like, women touch each other all the time. If you're a middle-aged man, nobody touches you, ever. and it sucks, or at least it's rare. I actually spent the whole week cuddling, so I can't, I cannot say that it never happens, but God, it doesn't happen enough. So basically, I think that it's a legitimate healing thing, that it's a part of spirituality. And imagine the court case. This is how I'm setting up the court case in my head, because the thing is, like, Rosa Parks did not, she wasn't improvising. Okay, Rosa Parks knew exactly what was going to happen when she got on that bus, because there was a woman about 2 weeks earlier, a young black girl, who refused to give up her seat and was arrested. So Rosa Parks knew what was going to happen. She had already talked to attorneys at the ACLU, and she knew how to set up the case. The problem with the first girl actually was that she was young, she was unmarried, and she was pregnant, and which makes it even more egregious that they would ask her to give up her seat. But the thing is, they weren't down with the single mothers in those days. That was considered, oh, she's a horrible person. When it's like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Your caller Matthew's back. If you want.
Hey, Matthew, missed you.
Hey, so nobody. This is your new show, then, right?
This is my old new show. This is something that I do from time to time. And it's been much more, I did it pretty steadily for a few months, and I just, I started running out of things to say, and I didn't want to just make shit up. So, I kind of, because that's what the CIA and the media do. That's their job. They've got that shit covered.
Do you like doing it?
I do like doing it when I don't, when I'm not feeling pressured to come up with something to say next. The mistake that I've made sometimes is to keep broadcasting after I had run out of things to say. And I needed to learn to just, okay, at that point, shut the fuck up, turn off the microphone, go do something else.
You should have somebody who, I don't know who does it. I don't know who does it on Free Talk Live, who comes up with the stories. I mean, maybe it's just Ian himself, or maybe it's just
pretty
one
much
of the other co-hosts. But maybe you should have somebody.
I have to admit that
pretty
much everybody who hosts the show except me brings stories. I'm a bastard. I'm a color guy, though, and that's kind of how I look at myself, like the color guy on a sportscast. So
right. Do you ever get a color commentator?
Do I ever get old? That's all I ever do.
Color commentator. Okay. Do you ever get people calling into this show?
As a matter of fact, somebody called in tonight. He's still talking to me.
Just see. Okay.
You're not the only caller that I've had. Sometimes I have them, sometimes I don't. But I appreciate it when I do.
I'm gonna remember this night. I'm gonna call in all the time. But I got a funny story, right? In like 2012, it must have been, and I was following the Free Talk Live stuff, the Liberty, New Hampshire stuff.
Uh-huh.
And Ian was there, like, he must have been working on something, doing some kind of technical stuff for Free Talk Live, whatever. So I was there, and I had this silver coin that I wanted to give Ian, but he was kind of busy or something, so I went over to him, and he was like,
"Well, I'm never too busy to take silver."
No, it was that was the funny part. He was like, excuse me, blah, blah, blah. I'm doing something, blah blah blah. I was like, oh, sorry.
Okay.
So,
you ever find yourself with silver you can't give away again? Be sure to give me a call, because
no. But it was super funny because he was all like, blah, blah, I'm doing something. But then,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, okay. I guess like this guy doesn't want my silver coin or something. Like I was about to give him a gift, and he was like, go away.
Well,
But
the show must.
but then,
Oh, go on. Um,
but then after he was done doing whatever he was doing, he was like, oh, what was it you wanted? And I gave him the silver coin. But I thought that was kind of a funny story because he was like, oh.
well, the thing about the media business is you cannot have dead air. So, if we have to stop recording or start recording soon and we have things we have to do first, it's like the show must go on. It has to happen at the right time. It's not like everything else I do in my life.
No, it was funny. Like he wasn't on the show then. He was just like working on getting something going. But it is true. Like I didn't have a sense of how important what he was working on was. He was trying to get what he was done. You know what I mean? And I'm just over here like, I got my
You never
silver.
know.
I mean,
I'll tell you what. If I'm coding.
But
and somebody comes and fucks with me and won't go away, I will end up irate. I have physically moved people out of my house.
Yeah. No, it doesn't. And honestly, it doesn't even matter if it's a gift. Like shit's gotta get done. And I'm really impressed actually with Ian's technical ability. Like you're talking to someone here who's like, I don't even know what's going on with the computer. Like I have one, but I have no idea how to get the thing working properly. The fact that this guy has like a radio show going and it's how many stations do you have? There's like hundreds of stations or whatever, and he manages to figure out how to do this. I mean, somebody might disagree, but I consider the guy to be like a kind of a genius. I mean, maybe somebody who's in the industry would disagree and say, it's not that hard. But I mean, from where I'm coming from, I don't know how any of this is happening. So it is very impressive that he's consistently able to pull this off. I hope he'll do it for many years to come.
Yeah, Ian is fucking amazing. He's a fucking workhorse. He just doesn't stop. I on the other hand, I don't necessarily stop, but I change directions a lot. And, which is unfortunate. It's not really that I want to change directions anymore a lot. It's just, I've found it's taken me a while to put together any sort of a rational business plan and some capital to launch it. So I've been.
Well, what is this show called right now?
Currently, we're on Nobody Tells the Truth.
Pretty good. I like it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I'm thinking of adding a music show, which would be songs nobody likes. And and mostly I'd want to self-host that because basically my plan on that would be ignore copyright law. You could put it that way, or you could say interpret fair use expansively, but that means that I have to be in control of my own hosting.
So I'm sorry if these are boring questions to people who know how this works, but is this show going to air in time slots other than when we are airing right now, or is this going to get?
It might, and the reason I say it might is I'm working on. Basically, I've hired a video editor who goes through, and whenever I'm on Free Talk Live, this person cuts all of the commercials out of the show so that it can be played on local access cable, which doesn't allow it doesn't allow commercial advertising. So basically, and the plan is to try. There's 10 counties in New Hampshire, and before my next run for governor, I want to have a person in each of those 10 counties who is feeding these episodes to public access, local access cable. And just because it's a good way to reach out to people that aren't looking for you. And the problem with doing political shows is only the people who are looking for you find you. And they already know what they're looking for. And if it's libertarianism, then your work with them is done.
But is it going to play again on LRN.FM?
I don't know. I would like to come to a syndication agreement with Ian. That's something we've talked about in the past. And the thing that I wanted to do before I started that was have like a few months of back episodes, so that, because I'm a space cadet and I get lost in shit that I'm doing.
Dude, I'm a space cadet too, for sure.
Yeah, and so the thing is, I don't want to leave him in the lurch, because once he allocates a time space, he has to fill that motherfucker, and he's kind of screwed if he doesn't. So anyway, it's not something that I can enter into lightly, but if I accumulate enough back episodes, to do. I mean, I could just play them in a loop, I guess, if I had a.
When you were losing faith in your show, was Ian one of the ones who was trying to egg you on to, like, no, keep trying to do it, or who encouraged you to keep doing it when you were thinking, like, I don't know?
Well, mostly, I don't know. There is a crazy pretty sounding. She sounded like she was just freaking adorable. I haven't met her in person, but she called in and told me she loved.
You got to get on that.
Well, it's the thing is, she's not in New Hampshire and I'm not leaving, because you don't. I'm waiting for the revolution to start.
I agree. She can come to you.
Yeah, and I think when the shit really hits the fan out there in the world, I think that a lot of libertarians are going to be flocking to New Hampshire, because I don't know what the fuck is going to happen. I can't figure the whole thing out. I've got some flashes of guesses, but the thing is, this whole COVID nightmare, they've worked really, really hard at it. And I think that's leading up to things. They don't create crises to waste them. They create crises to maximize their own power.
Yeah, but in terms of your show, if you can isolate the video, I'm definitely going to share that on my Mark Zuckerberg owned page and let people know about it. And I think whoever was encouraging you to do it or keep you in the game, or whether you're just encouraging yourself to have more faith in it, I think. Well,
Ian has always been like my biggest. I mean, he's the guy who always has fucking time to do fucking activism. He's.
Yeah. No, I think your show is going to be good, and I like the fact you have a show. And whenever you're on Free Talk Live, I'm always cracking up, and you have good one-liners on there. And
Oscar Wilde said,
there's certainly some good times. Sorry, what were you saying?
Oscar Wilde said that if you're going to tell them the truth, you have to make them laugh or they'll kill you. So, and nobody tells the truth. So, I got to make them laugh, or sooner or later they're going to come along and whack me. I mean, it's not like I don't tempt fate. I'm working on a communications app on the eve of the Boogaloo, which is exactly what's Duncan Lemp was doing when he was assassinated. So, which
right.
Yeah.
Oh, that was like there was some anniversary of that recently, right?
Yeah, that story got too little attention. I'm embarrassed for my people that.
Would you mind? I'm sorry to interrupt you. Would you mind recapping that briefly? Because I heard
Sure.
about it. And when it happened, I shared it on Zucker's website last year. But what exactly did happen there? He was in some kind of libertarian,
Duncan Lemp,
kind of libertarian group, and they
I can
after
answer
him, right?
that. Duncan Lemp was a computer programmer. He was working on some kind of a secure messenger app for the militias and the Boogie Boys to use if and when the Boogaloo came. And so, which is, kind of what we're basically Cell 411, which is my project, could be used for that same purpose. So, which is what makes it, a case close to my heart. But he was working on this communications app. Somebody called in and complained about like his politics, or said he shouldn't own guns or something. And so the basically the police went out to serve one of those red flag orders, to order him to give up his guns without being convicted of anything. But when they got there, they seem to have said to themselves, "Oh, that's such a pain in the ass. Why don't we just shoot him in his sleep?" So that's what they did.
Wow.
And they didn't even enter the building. They shot him through the fucking wall. He was asleep 6 inches away from his pregnant girlfriend. And,
no.
And the thing is, and that's the kind of shit they do. That's one of the reasons that I'm doing Cell 411 the way I am, which is one of the things I'm going to do on the show is talk, oddly enough, about software architecture. Because
where did this guy live?
Huh?
Where did this guy live?
Where did this time make?
Where did this guy live?
This guy lived in Maryland, and man, he was young, and he was he
in Maryland.
Yeah.
Okay, now just to recap for the listeners, what does Cell 411 do?
Oh, that's a good question.
And also, what is it that you do for it exactly?
Okay. Well, Cell 411 is an app, and I'll get back to what it is. I'll give you my relationship to it first. I'm a longtime user of Cell 411, which was developed by one Virgil Vadjua, to whom I will be forever grateful, because I've always loved this app. And Virgil had some personal issues going on, and he was unable to continue supporting and paying for the development of the app. And there were a couple of unpaid programmers in India who wanted to be paid. And so basically, and it got so bad that it fell out of the App Store. You couldn't even get it from Google. So Ian contacted them, and he purchased the rights to the source code for an undisclosed sum of money. And basically he gave the code to me to I'm preparing it to open source it, which should happen within a week, and then I'm going to continue as for at least one branch. I will be the lead developer, but other people may be doing other projects, and I encourage that. I want to make it different than what it is. So anyway, that's my relationship to the app. Now, as for what the app is,
okay, you keep going.
Because I'll try and remember all of the questions, but you might have to ask some of them again.
I just said, what does it do, and what's your relationship to it?
Okay. So anyway, that's my relationship to it. Now, what it does, basically, it allows you to crowdsource security issues. Okay, so let's say you get pulled over by the cops. You get broken into by a private sector criminal. Basically, it gives you an app where you can push a button and you can notify groups of people that you have selected to be the kind of people who would come to your aid. And basically, you can send a broadcast message to all of them instead of what you would have to do if you were looking for help and you were in a bad situation is you just have to start texting people and hope that somebody got back to you or post to social media. This is a much more direct route, and the idea is that chances are, if you're in some large cells, somebody from one of your cells is closer to you than the nearest cop, and we won't shoot your dog. Okay.
So this is all okay. I get what you're saying. So this is all theoretical, but now for doubters out there who are skeptical when they hear Bonnie saying call cell 411 because they won't shoot your dog.
Well, we've never shot a dog yet.
No. But for people who are hearing that, they won't shoot your dog, and they're thinking to themselves, well,
don't ever do that voice again.
And they're saying maybe they won't shoot my dog, blah blah blah. But by the way, this is just devil's advocate. I'm completely in line with it, but it's just a question for the person out there going, I don't think that's going to be good as the police in a moment of crisis. Even though I hate the police and I know what they're capable of, they tell themselves this is time tested.
Is that who you call when you're getting arrested?
They're like.
Is that who you call when you get pulled over?
Okay, but let me finish. They're like, this is something that the society validates. How does it?
Society is overrated.
Yeah, well, I agree. But what will make them believe that the 411 will be a better option? Do you have any success?
Well, some of them won't.
That you can... Okay,
I got to get in some answer time here.
I know. Okay, but let me just. I just want to clarify the question.
It's clear.
Is that
it's very clear?
No, I didn't even ask you though. I didn't even.
Yes, you did. You asked it. You asked me why people are going to believe that this is going to be an effective system, and the answer is yes. That's what you asked me, and I'm going to answer. Could you mute him?
Okay.
So basically, what the answer to that is that people, in order to be attracted to this, what they need is a group of people that they have confidence in, and that's the cell nature of it. I guarantee that there are cells out there in the world where you can send any alert you want and nobody will show up. And there will be other cells where you can send an alert and everybody will show up. Okay. And that's not something that can be centrally controlled. Um, so so basically, in order to have confidence in cell 411, you have to have a cell or a group of people that you have confidence in that will actually come to your aid. Um, and that's your cell. Now, the changes that we're making in the app right now, the app logically has a cell structure. Okay, that's how it looks to the user. But the reality of the architecture is that all of the data about all of the cells is stored in a single central computer. And that defeats the whole purpose of being cell based, okay? Because the idea of cells is operating independently with people that you personally trust and somewhat limiting your networking and knowledge of your activities so that if somebody else in the fight is compromised, suborned, arrested, and blackmailed into turning state's evidence, tortured, whatever. There's something they can do to break everybody. What none of us are invulnerable. And so basically the cell structure is limit how many people you have knowledge of so that if and when you are broken, you can't give up too much information. Now, the single point of failure there is if our database is broken, then and made to give up the information that it has, then literally everybody in the system is vulnerable to that. They get everything in one blob. So it desperately needs to be re-architected to have a re-architected so that its implementation, its reality matches the user experience. Okay, and the way to do that, there's a number of problems to doing it. The first is we want to be dependent on as few companies as possible. As a matter of fact, I would like to be dependent on no companies so that, and the best way to do that, I think, is a system which is kind of an intermediate to my eventual goal, where each person running a server, or each person who starts a cell can start it by spinning up his own server on his own computer. And then basically he's only storing the data for the people he actually knows who are in his cell. And so at least then you know who has your data and you know that it's somebody trustworthy. And just to be frank on the architectural issues, one of the problems with Cell 411 is right now we never discard any data. And it's not a matter, we're not selling it to anybody. It's not going anywhere. It's just that nobody ever took the time to write the programs to go through and call out the shit that we don't need to know anymore. And so that makes our database a much more attractive target for law enforcement, and that's something that's set to change when we move the hosting on the servers that we control. Because basically, like on the development box, which runs on one of our servers, I can just connect directly to the database and make the changes I need to make. And I can do that much more easily than I can do it on the app server where it lives now. Never use an app server that doesn't give you SSH access for anything you're serious about. Because the thing about a Unix box is you gotta be able to like go poke around and see what the fuck it's doing when things aren't going your way, and it gives you the power to do that. But if it's hiding behind some company's interface, then you're blind. It's a pain in the ass. So anyway, eventually we're gonna have to the flip side of that, of having people self-hosting their own cells, which will be the recommended configuration. But if you don't want to self-host your cell, we will continue hosting cells, and will be a good choice if you're not really worried about security. But if you're really worried about security, the best way to stop me from compromising your information is don't give it to me in the first place. I don't want it. I don't need it. I can't ethically do anything with it. So just keep it. I don't want it. And that way, the FBI is much less likely, actually, it'd probably be the CIA. The CIA is much less likely to show up at my doorstep and want to, like, play dunking for apples with me or cut my fingers off because they want to know some shit, because I don't want to know anything. I anticipate Cell 411's purpose as growing a great deal, because there's all kinds of groups that could be organized with it. And I think the Freedom Cells movement is a great example. And if you haven't checked this out, it's freedomcells.org. Oh, is he still on the line? I'm sorry. Sorry I cut you off there, bro. But I wanted to get that out, because even if you didn't mean to ask the question, it was a good question and it needed to be answered. So sometimes I'll answer your question even if you don't want to hear it. If there's more to the question, give it to me and I'll run my mouth some more.
You can go first. Sorry.
I already went. I've been running. How long did I go all soliloquy there?
The problem was it might have cut out because for the last couple of minutes I've been listening to like some other show that was on here.
Oh, okay.
So there might have been some technical difficulty that brought us to some other show.
Well, technicalities do happen,
So can you?
And I'm hurt, and I'm just hurt and bewildered and betrayed. No, it's all good. You can listen to other people.
Well, then, if that's the case, would you mind summarizing what you said in the last couple of minutes? Because it totally, like, honest to God, I heard none of it.
Okay. Basically, I don't know if it's your cup of tea. Basically, I riffed on Cell 411 and some of the realities of its current implementation and the direction that I intend to take the software. So, that may be something that ends up to some extent getting cut out and used somewhere else. But, I like to get these rants on audio when I can, because, then they're there and it's just a matter of finding them, cutting them out, and using them.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, so, basically my only question was before all that was I was just going to ask, like, are there specific, do you know of any, like, specific Cell 411 success stories that you had in mind where, like, the Cell 411 thing had been utilized and had been used effectively for the people who might be doubting or whatever?
Okay, you're giving me more question than I need. the answer is yes. There's a collection of success stories. I'll give you a very simple one that was my own personal experience, and this is why I love that app. First off, there have been many times when I've pulled out Cell 411, and that was when I activated the camera and when I started chatting. That was when the cops decided they would rather be somewhere else. So the best case of that, though, was in Manchester. I sent out I got pulled over. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. I haven't cleaned my car off very well because I literally don't own an ice scraper. And so I'm driving down to Cumbies to get one, and I get pulled over. And the Manchester police have been busting my balls for months. They know exactly who I am, and they're out for blood. So basically, I send out a cell 411. There's a little more to the sentence. I send out a cell 411, and Colin Gibson goes driving by where I'm getting pulled over and yells, "Fuck the police," out his window. And that was enough for them to completely lose interest in me and set out after him. Although he wasn't actually breaking any law, so although they caught him, they couldn't do anything but throw him back and listen to him laugh. So they lost both of us by just, well, being dumbass cops.
Which year was that?
That was about 2 years ago when I was living in Manchester. About the same time as the machete arrest, if you've been following me. But yeah, but the other thing is there are people in South Africa who are using it to basically, because it's a very dangerous place to be right now, and they seem to be having good success with it. It's been used to coordinate cop block activities. It's being used by people like Breaking the Flaw and some of the other Liberty auditors who are using it to record their work and to communicate about what they're doing and let people in the area know. So there's a lot of Cell 411 success stories. There's a few failure stories too, but I believe that all of them are, there's nothing wrong with Cell 411 that some tender loving care for the system isn't going to fix.
Two quick things. First thing, do you believe that the police are still after you in particular, or maybe not these days, or what do you think about that?
I mean, the police, I actually have a relative, like with the ones who I communicate with, I actually have a relatively good relationship with them. It's not generally hateful. I mean, I had a lot of prison guards come up to me and say, "You don't belong in here, man. You really don't." And that's the thing. They're not all stupid, but there's certainly, it's like Florida man. I used to be a Florida man, but there's enough stupid coming out of Florida man that people look at Florida people strangely.
Right.
Do you know who Florida man is?
No. I forget what my other question was.
Okay. Well, Florida man is basically the guy who's, whenever something catastrophically stupid happens in the world, about half the time, the first two words of the headline are Florida man. Florida man does some crazy shit. He's known as the world's most helpless and deranged superhero. All right. That's a good plan. Okay, I'm gonna wrap it up, bro. I'm running out of energy, so thanks for calling in and busting my balls and asking questions.
I wish I remembered my next question, but yeah, it was a pleasure. You have a nice night.
For me too. And subscribe somehow, and you'll know when I come on.
What do you want for outro?
Huh?
What do you want for out music?
Oh, let's do Touch of Grey.
You want to say anything on the way out? Like, where are you going to be next or whatever?
Yep, this is Touch of Grey by the Grateful Dead. I love those guys. I thought the song was too commercial when I first heard it, but it grew on me. I mean, it's about getting old. That's what I've been doing lately. So I gotta get these ideas on tape and hopefully get some compatriots out there working. Anyway, I'm gonna quit running my mouth. I've done that enough. Peace.